This is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the LD Micro Invitational 2017 in Bel Air, California. With me right now is Katie Karloff from INVO Bioscience. It's a publicly traded company with the symbol IVOB. Katie, welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you on. Thank you for coming. Let's do one of these.
There you go.
So, for our audience, let's start off with an overview of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, INVO Bioscience was founded in 2007 with the mission to create a process and a device to allow more patients to access IVF. Right now, and back then, IVF was treating so few people because of the cost of it, and Dr. Claude Renaud, the founder of the company, had done some preliminary work and had discovered that you could actually create embryos by incubating them in the female's vaginal cavity versus an incubator, and from there on the company was founded.
So let's get into a little more of the history. How did you then get involved? Where did it start to now where it's currently at today?
Actually, I met Dr. Renaud at a conference, and we were talking about it, and I had just left a company who had gotten bought out, another startup, and we were talking about it, and he wanted to start a company to create a device, and I had spent quite a bit of time in the medical device industry with Boston Scientific for 13 years in the early years of their growth period in the 80s. And so we kind of hooked up and started the company. And the first couple of years we worked on this, which is the device, getting something that worked for the consumer and for the doctors to be able to easily do the process. And then post that, for 4 years after that, we actually went through the FDA. We were required to do 450 cycles, INVO cycles with the device and our process to submit with the FDA. We did that. They came back and said they no longer agreed with us being a 510K, that we had to do what they call a de novo submission, which is more like a PMA, which ended up taking us a longer time. But we did get approved at the end of 2015. We're very excited about that, and right now we're in the process of doing a minimum launch.
So let's get into the technology of the device itself. How does it work, and how is it different than what's currently available?
Okay, first I'll show you how the device works. This is the device. It's two parts. This outer part actually is just to keep the inner device clean. So basically, this is the key piece. It's made out of polystyrene, which is carbon dioxide permeable, because you need carbon dioxide for embryos to form and fertilization to take place. So the eggs, the sperm, and the culture media get put into this device. It's closed up, placed in this outer container, and this is what actually is placed up the vaginal cavity and sits in a small pocket behind the cervix called the fornix. It's there for 3 to 5 days. Most physicians are incubated for 5 days. After the 5 days, it's taken out. This basically is thrown away. The device is put into a holder for about 10 minutes while the resulting embryos go down to the bottom of the device. And then the holder's turned over, and the physicians actually under the scope can look at the resulting embryos directly in the device. So they'll extract the best 2 embryos and transfer it back into the patient. The main differences with this device is that the fertilization and incubation takes place in a closed system. In IVF, it's in an open system. And it also takes the complex laboratory part out of the IVF process. And that laboratory part is what, from an overhead point of view, is very expensive. To build an IVF lab, you need HEPA filtration, you need carbon dioxide incubators, they have to be calibrated, everything needs to be filtered. It's very complicated. And to build one of those IVF labs, a lot of times it's about $2 million. And all that's taken out of the process. You need a $20,000 laminar flow hood to do this process. So it really takes that out. We also use a different stimulation where we have the patients only there for 3 visits. They generally produce about 6 or 7 eggs versus 20 eggs. And that in itself is easier on the female, taking less drug. And so overall the process is simpler, less visits, less overhead. The embryology time is minimal compared to with IVF. So all that comes down to us offering a system for great pregnancy rates for females at half the price of IVF. And in all of our studies that we submitted with FDA, our pregnancy rate was exactly the same as IVF generally. And in the marketplace right now, we're actually seeing very good pregnancy rates even with our new users, so we're really excited about that.
I was just going to ask about pregnancy rates. So,
Yes.
along those lines, so you said you've already been through the FDA process. Is this approved?
Yes, it is approved in the United States, and we this past year have, actually since last October, we have brought up about, I think we're up to 50 different clinics now are now offering the INVO in different parts of the country. So we're starting to get some traction there.
I was just going to ask, so that's where you're currently at in your development then, is
Yes.
that it's now available for sale at clinics, correct?
Yes, it is.
So, Katie, I now want to know, what's the market size of IVF or for IVF?
The market size for IVF right now, and this is the market that's treating only 12% of the needed population, in the U.S. is about $3 billion. In worldwide, it's about $7 billion. So it's a huge industry, and that's only treating a small portion. So the market's wide open with people that are in need of a fertility treatment but can't afford it to fill that.
I was going to say, what is the price difference between what you're offering and what's currently available?
And it varies from country to country, but in the United States, the average cost for an IVF cycle is $13,000, and all of our doctors right now are offering the INVO procedure with drugs included for $6,500, so it's half the price.
So another thing I want to know, so when you're going to the physician, you're simply selling the device, correct?
Yes, we are. We're selling the device to the physicians.
Okay. And then where can women go and get this done? Is it at their local hospital, at various physicians, private practice? Where is it available?
It's generally in private practices. You do not need a hospital setting to go through this procedure. Right now, it's mainly IVF clinics that are offering it, and there are a few OBGYNs that are also offering it right now.
And for them, are they pitching it as like an alternative to what is currently?
Yes, it's an alternative to traditional IVF, definitely. It is still considered in vitro fertilization, but we like to think of it as in vivo fertilization since it is being incubated in the body and not outside the body.
And what's your background? I know you touched on it a little bit earlier in the interview, but how did you come into this business? And these things take a long time for approval, so what was that process like for you?
Well, I actually have been in the medical field pretty much since I got out of college. I worked in pharmaceuticals for 5 or 6 years, and then I was one of the early people at Boston Scientific when they were a small company, was there for 13 years. And post that, this is my 4th startup type of company, so I really enjoy the small company. And during that time of doing the other startups, I was able to learn about doing FDA submissions and managing quality systems and all the things that it takes to get something to market.
So, Katie, is there a story? This is the type of story that we hear that there is usually a catalyst behind it or some kind of story that made the inventor want to do it. So, is there something like that behind this? There
is an interesting story behind it. Dr. Claude Renaud, he was actually a physician in outside of Paris, France. He is French. He has come here since, and he was doing IVF, and they lost power. And at the time, he's like, okay, I have these eggs and this sperm. What am I going to do with it? My incubator's not working. So he put it into a little cryopreservation screw top vial with the culture media. And since he had just done a retrieval, the woman's still on the table, so he stuck the vial in there to keep it warm, not realizing that the carbon dioxide level in the vaginal cavity was adequate to have fertilization and embryo development. So it was a big storm. I guess it was almost 24 hours before she came back in when the power was on, and he took it out, and there were early embryos developed inside of it. And he was like, wow, look at this. And he realized that he couldn't do something commercially with the cryopreservation vial. There's so many things wrong with it that made it difficult to use, but that's how the idea got started. And so then we worked together to develop something that was easy for the physician to use and comfortable for the patient. So,
Katie, from what you can tell me, what are some of the company's milestones in the near term that you're hoping to achieve?
Well, what we would like to achieve this year is to continue to get physicians up. Right now, we've got 50 clinics that are offering the procedure. There are approximately 460 IVF centers in the United States. So our goal is to hopefully hit 100 before the end of the year.
So where can our audience go and find more information about the company?
On our website, www.invobioscience.com. We have all our procedural information on there, the list of all the clinics that offer the INVO procedure with the INVOcell device, and all kinds of neat information, as well as baby pictures.
Great. Thank you very much. My name is Robert Kraft, and I'm coming to you live on SNNLive, and we're at the LD Micro Invitational 2017 in Bel Air, California. With me again is Katie Karloff from INVO Bioscience, publicly traded company with the symbol IVOB. Katie, thank you so much again for joining.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.